Are you trapped with feelings of shame and regret and guilt for a mistake that you've made in the past? No worries. By the end of this video, you're going to know some powerful tips for you to be able to move beyond your past and to forgive yourself. So before we dive in, let me ask, are you someone who's committed to doing the inner work to live your best life? I suspect so. If you're watching a video on how you can forgive yourself, then you're absolutely one of my peeps. I strongly suggest that you click the subscribe button and the little bell to be notified when we have new videos drop each and every week to help you live your best life, all fueled by joy. Look, forgiveness is hard in general, but forgiving yourself for a mistake that you've made that might have caused somebody else pain can be absolutely one of the most challenging things to do, especially if you're a good-natured person. Realistically, none of us want to hurt anyone else, but mistakes happen. And in fact, sometimes our past conditioning or our own fears and limitations and doubts can cause us to become a version of ourselves we never would have thought we could ever be. And forgiving yourself is still necessary for you to live a happy and healthy life. Take it from me, somebody who has made her fair share of mistakes. You guys, I used to be addicted to drugs, in and out of jail, in and out of rehab. Through that journey of dysfunction, caused a lot of dysfunctional pain towards other people, and I hurt people along my healing path. So I too have had to use a lot of the tools that you're going to learn here in this video to free myself from the shame and the guilt and the regret so that I can be happy for the rest of my life as well. So it works, but grab a piece of pen and paper because you're going to want to take some notes as we dive in. All right, so let's dive right in with tip number 1, which is to learn to express your emotions responsibly. As I mentioned, I am no stranger to making mistakes. In fact, I've spent a lifetime of hurting and then trying to get forgiveness and overcome the resentment and the hurt and the anger and the shame and the guilt that I had for being the older version of myself that isn't the version of myself now. So when it comes to learning forgiveness, one of the very, very first steps that you have to take is that learning to express your emotions in their rawest form, which means that we need to grab a piece of paper and a pen, and we want to start vomiting our emotions all over there. What that looks like is meaning that you can judge yourself, you can judge others, you can feel the shame and the guilt and the hurt and the rage and the anger, and you need to process it on paper. There's a literally neurological chemical transfer that happens when you write something down. And so instead of just thinking about it and allowing that kind of thought tornado of all the shoulda, coulda, wouldas that are going to just roll around in your mind, you want to dump it out on a piece of paper. Just because you write it doesn't make it truth. It just means that you're processing your truth. And in those moments, you're going to have rage and you're going to have hurt and sadness and anger and frustration and guilt and shame. Those are all natural emotions to feel when you've caused somebody else pain. So we want to process those responsibly. Because if you don't, what will happen is that they will leak out in the most awkward places. That when you're in a conversation, all of a sudden you just shut somebody down or you cut them out or you cause a debate and a fight and it could end badly. So the first step into learning to forgive yourself is to begin to process your emotions responsibly, which means on a regular basis, getting a piece of paper and word vomiting all over it what you truly feel. All right, so step number 2 is now where we want to evaluate what else contributed to you making that mistake. Look, they all say hindsight is 20/20. Well, we want to use that 20/20 to learn and grow. There is one of my favorite things to say about forgiveness. It's not forgive and forget, it's forgive, learn, and grow. You want to be able to evolve as a human as a result of those mistakes. Mistakes are inevitable. You're gonna mess up. And there's a lot of contributing factors to what could cause you to have made that mistake. A lot of things that we don't consider because we will hold ourselves to an unrealistic standard of perfection that does not exist. So where you want to start is you really do want to begin to say, all right, what else was going on that contributed to me behaving in this manner? What past conditionings? What needs were not being met? Where was I not being my truest self? Where was I not speaking my truth? Where was I being misleaded, or where was I maybe following the crowd to fit in? But that's not really what I wanted to do, right? So we want to begin to see what else contributed to that mistake so you can learn and grow from it. Because as long as you're evolving, then we are going to it gives purpose and meaning to the pain. Does that make sense? So if you learn from something, then it gives meaning to that pain versus the pain just being there and continuing to perpetuate more pain. Okay, so if you've got a little intel on these two, comment below and let me know, what do you think? What do you think about these two, and how do you think they can help you along your forgiveness journey? All right, tip number 3 is something that I've already been alluding to already, is that mistakes are inevitable and compassion is key. Let me repeat that. Mistakes are inevitable and compassion is key. We hold ourselves to an unrealistic standard of perfection that cannot be matched. We think of all the things that we should have, could have done better, and we look at our life in hindsight, and of course you have all these brilliant ideas on how you could have done that better, or what you should have done, and how you could have avoided that pitfall. But that doesn't help or serve us. In fact, all that's going to do is continue to keep you in regret. You want to really look at, how have I evolved and how have I grown from this? If you can find some aspect of where you have grown, or find a way to really focus on the growth element of it, then we can lift out of regret, we can rise out of shame, and we can start to begin to enter in a place of self-compassion. And from there, we can then reclaim our joy. But joy requires us to have compassion for ourselves, to give ourselves a little bit of grace when it comes to mistakes that were made. From here, of course, you can go ask for forgiveness. Of course, you want to take emotional and mental and physical responsibility for the mistakes that you've made. And we want to also show others that we have learned, and that this isn't something that's going to be a reoccurring pattern of ours either. So hopefully that has helped. We're going to dive right now into tip number 4. All right, insight number 4 is that forgiveness is a practice. When you're learning to forgive yourself, a lot of times we just want to close a chapter of a book. We want to move on. We want to just forgive once and be done with it, and then just feel back to being joy again. And sometimes that can happen. But when we hurt other people, or we've made a mistake that's really impacted us negatively, and let's say financially, or in our relationships, or with our children, then of course it's natural to have that shame, that guilt, and that regret kind of tag along and follow along with us. So you want to recognize that every time those emotions bubble up, is that you want to make forgiveness a practice, is that you want to go back to forgiving yourself again. You want to reframe your thinking. You want to focus on where you've evolved and how you've grown. You want to give meaning to the mistake by focusing on the growth. This is a powerful practice that you too can begin to do right here, right now. In fact, the forgiveness practice that I used was the forgiveness letter, and I have created a 1-page downloadable template that you can use to create your own personal forgiveness practice. It's going to be the first line in the description below. You can click it and immediately be taken to where you can sign up to have it emailed to you instantly. You guys, it's a powerful practice. Like I said, I've done thousands of these to help me forgive myself for all of the pain that I've caused myself and for others. If you can imagine, the life that I was on perpetuated a tremendous amount of shame and guilt and regret. It impacted my financial state. It impacted my relationships with my family, with my significant other. It impacted my relationship with my siblings. It was literally constantly a part of every part of what I did. And I am now one of the happiest people I know. I am filled with so much joy and purpose and passion. I have no problem with taking emotional responsibility for myself, and I have a tremendous amount of self-compassion for myself, knowing that I am a perfectly imperfect being. So if you want to learn to get there, then I strongly suggest that you download that worksheet right now and start to incorporate it in a part of your regular practice. And if you want to join a community full of powerful women who are committed to doing the inner work to live their best lives, all fueled by joy, then you want to join our Rebels for Joy Facebook community. It is our special space where we come together to learn, to laugh, to grow, to share, and to support each other along this amazing journey. You can check it out now by clicking here. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video, and if you want to dive into more forgiveness depths, then you want to check out some of our other videos. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a personal development video that's delivered to you each and every week.